Master, help me! You left me to burn! I'm gonna make you pay for that!
Set in Tolkien's Middle-earth after The Hobbit, but before Lord of the Rings, Shadow of Mordor tells the story of human ranger Talion. Talion is out for revenge after Sauron's forces kill his loved ones and leave him in a ghostly state of living death. He's not all bad though, on account of the supernatural powers that come with being undead. Cue Talion's mission through the realm of Mordor, Sauron's home turf, in this open-world RPG with Arkham-inspired rhythmic combat and an intriguing procedurally generated enemy society. I talked to Michael de Plater, design director at developer Monolith.
In The Hobbit, the Necromancer is in Dol Guldur. The Necromancer is revealed to be Sauron, and then he's driven out, and then he returns to Mordor. So that's the moment when our game begins, and that's about 60 years before the start of Lord of the Rings. It takes place within Mordor, and Mordor is a very large place. So, you know, the mountain ranges run for hundreds of miles on each side. So what we have is we have a number of different, we call them zones that you explore. So the first one that we saw today, that's Udun. That's just within the Black Gates. So there's Durthang, which is this Gondorian fortress and so on. That's probably the most familiar Mordor looking place. And then as we go deeper, we get to explore a lot of different locations within Mordor. And each one of those is its own open world sandbox, the same as Udun. We want to have a lot of variety in our environments at the same time as having them be authentic. So it lets us ask, you know, different questions like, how do these armies get fed? Or what are these different sort of environments like? So to actually flesh it out more and turn it into a real place, because obviously if it is just a monotonous blasted hellscape, it's not actually going to work as a real environment.
Although Talion is a character devised by Monolith, there will be overlap between Shadow of Mordor and Tolkien's original stories.
Yeah, Gollum we're going to see because he's so kind of integral to the particular story we're telling, because we're really sort of going into the origins of the Rings of Power and Sauron and the events between Hobbit, Lord of the Rings. We do have some other characters that turn up that are really sort of key to our story that I kind of can't give away without it being a little bit of a spoiler. But we definitely didn't want to do the Forrest Gump thing of just having sort of arbitrary sort of cameos of people coming on screen. So all of the guys that do show up, or girls, I should say, you know, have a really important role to tell within the story that we're telling.
Mordor, as you will remember from the films, is swarming with orcs. However, the game's procedural orc society, called the Nemesis System, means each orc is a unique and special snowflake. The system individually simulates orc characters and creates a dog-eat-dog hierarchy of orc enemies who will kill each other as well as you, leveling up and backstabbing their way to the top of the pile.
The intention is just having an open world game, open world sandbox where like there's no meaningless, nameless grunts in the world. Every enemy has the opportunity to grow and actually become a recurring villain to you as the player. And you get to make your own personal archenemy, your own personal nemesis, your own personal stories with these guys.
Besides the orcs, you can add Sauron and his captains to your enemies list, along with the local Mordor wildlife.
Some of the key bosses in the game are the Black Captains, so the three sort of leaders that are initially responsible for slaughtering everyone when Sauron returns. There's Sauron himself, of course, and then there's the ecology, you know, the creatures living in Mordor, much like the orcs themselves, are living in this sort of very brutal ecosystem where I guess evolution's on overdrive. So, you know, the other monsters and creatures you'll be facing as well.
Humans and orcs are the races central to Shadow of Mordor, but don't panic, elf lovers, there will be elves, wizards, and a dwarf, but no hobbits.
You will obey.
The race that we don't have at this point, unless you count Gollum, is hobbits. But all the other races definitely make an appearance. So there's the humans who've been trapped within Mordor, and of course Talion himself. The elves, wizards definitely have their role to play. There's a dwarf.
Finally, with Shadow of Mordor and the last Hobbit film coming out this year, does Monolith's game take its cues from the movies or from the books?
The thing with the films is that they just make the best possible movies that they can make while being very respectful to the books. And I think we've done the same thing. So in some ways we've sort of drawn from both. So the fact that the necromancer is Sauron and the exploration of that as a story is, I mean, it's explored in the appendices of Lord of the Rings, but it's fleshed out more in the films, in Peter Jackson's films. And that's certainly a sort of a key part of the story for us. And for example, in the films, they reveal that the Nazgul and their sort of fate in getting revealed, they compress the timeline, so that's connected more closely with Sauron. And again, we kind of go with the movies on that one. But then on other things, I think we dig more back into the lore and some of those references via the books as well. So it's a little bit of a blend.